What's up, boys and girls? We are live. I don't think we're getting Smitty today. His in-laws came, and so he's dealing with that. So, but we got a nice big 12 game slate today that I'm gonna break down. And I'll talk about the GPP side. We'll look at both sides of this here and kind of reference a few things and see where we land. And we've been doing good. I'm excited. These bigger slates are interesting. People either tend to love them or they tend to hate them. I'm kind of indifferent. Sometimes I like them. Sometimes I hate them. I like this one. I think there's some value here. I think there's some real unique value today and where we're going. So I'm getting the sites all pulled up right now. And I'm going to go into pitching first, like we normally do. So main slate today, interesting spot. So one of the things I want to talk about like right away is there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, no, 9. 9 of the games have a total of 7.5 today, guys. 9. That's not a good sign. That makes me think the books are pretty aware we're going to get the freaking lead baseball tonight. They haven't been consistent in which baseball's going in play. Teams are cutting them open. They're in the game and they're seeing different balls. So I don't understand what Major League's doing, but 8 games at there. And the only game like with a high total is Texas, Colorado. And that's only at 9.5. So that's a pretty interesting spot to me. From a total point and from a book standpoint. Pitching wise, right? Glass now, he's priced 10.9. I'm middle of the road on him. I like him. I don't love him. He eats a lot of salary when I want to try to get to some bats. But right now we're sub 20% owned. That makes me like him a little better. I'll probably, he'll make one of my 3 maxes. But he's not there. Philly, Smitty's not really on him today from a GPP standpoint. Ranger Suarez, I'm not paying 10-3 for Suarez today against Miami. They just don't do enough for me to like get me excited about Suarez. Like they got a couple guys that can strike out, right? Like Berger and Jazz and Bethencourt, but I think there's some better upside and a better way to spend your money on this slate. John Gray at $7,200. I love, like, give me some value there. I get it, they're in Colorado, but man, that team just Ks at such a high rate. It's hard to like not pass up on them. And then let's go to the A's Seattle game. So this is an interesting spot. So everybody's going back to Woo. It's his first game back. He's only 8K, but he's 25%. Right now he's projected as, I'm not playing that in single entry in 3 max. There's just no way. But I love the other side, right? Guys, we've seen Seattle K every single day. That K rate for that team is out of control. And we can get Blackburn for a great price. And we get all access to all those Ks, right? He's only 7,500. So if you went Gray Blackburn, you're 15K in. Like that's a great spot to be in as far as that goes. And we don't have exact lineups yet, but man, right? Go look at that lineup side. And then we look at, Blackburn's coming in right now, 6% ownership. So if you give me 6% ownership and that kind of leverage on this kind of slate, like that's spots I really like to attack from a pitching standpoint. Like those are kind of gross. Like everybody's going to play the one side. I'll happily play the other. And, in a 3 max, I'll get access to some of that there. And it's funny, Smitty and I landed on the same pitchers today without us even really looking. The other high, 2 high pay ups, right, is the Minnesota Blue Jay game. Joe Ryan's 10-1. I don't hate him. I don't love him. I like him a little better at sub 10%. But again, that's a lot of money to spend on this slate. Kikuchi's not owned, but he's almost 10 grand. So again, if I'm going to go pay up, give me the guy that's, a couple grand, $500 less and, less owned. So those are generally things I'm looking at. In a GPP standpoint, Smitty really likes Abbott today. I'm indifferent. I don't hate him. He's only $6,700, but he probably won't make a 3 max for me. I'm not on Webby in that game. Webby just doesn't have the K upside right now. Don't show me there. And, if we're talking like from a value standpoint, I'll be interested to see. We just got announced Gasser's throwing, for Milwaukee at 5K. I think his ownership will go up. I think some people will punt to him against the Cards. I probably won't go there. I don't hate Morton today. He's only 7,900 versus, the Mets. But again, he's in that mid-teens ownership. I'm not going to Crochet. Cleveland doesn't strike out enough. KC's been getting hot, but nobody's going to throw Canning today. So when we start looking at bats on the other side, right, do we see some ownership there? I kind of like, Tanner Houck a little bit too. If we're going to get, an interesting spot, from a pitching standpoint, that's, my only issue is same thing on the Ks. Like Washington just doesn't K a lot. I generally want someone that's going to K a lot there, and shut that down. Just so you know, Smitty likes a little Webb, he likes Kikuchi too. Okay. So, and then we go, to the other side. So let's start looking at the stacks. How are these guys going to project? Let me get projections updated because we just get a bunch ran. So I can look at some updated ownerships here for everybody. And yeah, that's wild, man. So, right. So the Rangers are going to be superly high owned in Coors today. Not shocking. I'm just going to live by the first game of Coors rule. Just fade the first game. So we'll get out of there. Sign me up with the Brewers versus Big Bastard. Like, give me some Brewers today. I'll have exposure there, right? Fly ball pitcher. We know what they can and can't do. I like it there. I really like the A's today with that Woo ownership, right? Woo shouldn't be that high owned on this big a slate. Like, maybe mini stack them. I don't, this is just a spot. I'll get some exposure. It's his first game back. Give me some of the left-handed bats in that lineup. I really like going that way. So, I'm not really going to go D-backs today. Just not there. It's another reason I don't like Irvin. I'm not on Fott against the O's. That just saying like that, the total isn't enough. The Twins, I keep missing it on, but like I said, I like the pitching a little more on that side. I like Tyler O'Neill as a one-off today versus Corbin. The wind's blowing in a little, but he's not been there, but I definitely like O'Neill and how he matches up there. The Braves versus Quintana. If they're not owned, again, can I sneak in some of the bats? Like, give me some Albies. Ozuna's more than Olsen right now because he's crushing the ball. And I like Orlando Arcia. Like, he's a punt at shortstop. Nobody's going to play as much. He's $3,600 today. That's a good side. I'm not going to the Mets today. Pete's probably going to project well. JD will project well, but that's just not a spot I'm going to go right now. Again, 12 game slate. There's a lot of options. What do we want to look at? Who do we want to go with? The only guy like on the Twins though is worth going is Jeffers. Just right. I mean, Jeffers is just absolutely knocking the cover off the ball right now. Back to that Twin side of things. He's still batting lead off. So, I don't hate going there. I'm all over the Phillies today, right? They get Trevor Rogers. They get that pin. It's down in Miami. Again, the only thing that scares me a little is the over-under. But I like how Philly projects today. Smitty's on that side of them as well. I really like that side. I'm not touching the Marlins on a 12-game slate. Just like I'm not touching Cleveland or the Sox for single entry 3-max. No reason to go there on this kind of slate. Back to the Brewers. Contreras, Yelich. Yelich's only $4,800. Willie, Reese. I kind of like Joey Ortiz punting down at the bottom. He's $2,800. You can sneak him in at third. Third's been kind of funky this year. I'm not going with the Cards today, and I never get them right anyways. Texas is obviously going to project well when you run projections, so keep that in mind. Can they score 15? Sure. If I lose to him at Coors, I lose to him. But I'm going John Gray on the other side. I'll be shocked if he doesn't make my single entry. But he's for sure going to be in my 3-max pool. We got the Angels at home. I kind of like the Royals there today against Canning. Give me that top of that lineup still. Garcia's got it going again. Bobby, Vinny, MJ, I want to see where they land lineup wise, but I'm liking there. That Angels lineup is oof. I want to see who they land on. I'm not going Angels today. No reason to. There's nobody there that excites me. The Dodgers, I'll be interested to see where Dodger ownership lands. I definitely like the late swap ability. They're priced up. I think they're going to be middle of the pack ownership. That's for me, an interesting spot there, just to get a little bit of probably what is leverage. Let me look back at that ownership. So, people going to the Rockies today to get there. I really like Gray more, knowing that people are going to play him. So I'm starting to look at some of that ownership there. Again, on this kind of slate, ownership matters way less to me today, as far as we go. Totally agree, Jeremy. I'm just not going there with them today. I just got into the slate before this, so I hadn't got as deep as I want to get yet, but I'll have my article up here shortly. I'm just finishing it up. I'm just not going to go there. I'll fade them. I'm okay with fading them, from that standpoint. And then something to keep an eye on. If Baltimore's ownership, that game's just 7.5. But if that ownership stays real low, don't be scared to look at some Baltimore today. They're going to project. They're not going to project great, but they're going to hit well. So I kind of like that. Again, I like Glass now. My only issue is it's just San Diego has been striking out a ton. So that's off there. Again, the Dodgers fade Shohei at your own risk. He's 6,600. I think he ends up $7,000 here at some point. Again, I like the Blackburn side versus the Mariners today. I agree, Jerm. I like that spot. The more I'm looking at that game, I'm going Blackburn. Wu just shouldn't be that highly owned in his first game back. Ellie's just been out of control. They're in San Francisco, so the park isn't as great. But man, if he gets on, he's stealing 2 bases. So, he's just gone as soon as he gets on. And I just don't love. I get why Smitty, especially from a GPP standpoint, loves Abbott today. How he's going to split against all those lefties. I think the Giants are going to run out a ton of right-handed bats, which means they're going to pitch hit for everybody. So that's why I don't want that access there. As far as we start looking at. As I look at it, Dodgers, Orioles, I like, from a stack standpoint, Phillies, those are probably going to be my main 3, and then pulling one-offs from there, as we go down. So that's, and then, and the Brewers, right? Just because give me a fly ball pitcher. We know, listen, I love Lance Lynn. He's made me a lot of money over the years, but it's that, versus, those bats, I think I really like saying, give me those guys against them today. And and the pin hasn't been good for them. So hit me up in Discord. I'm going to go finish up the article. Let's go enjoy this big slate, boys. Let's have a good night. Later.